Thanks for joining me here on the show.
Thanks for having me.
I'm really excited to have you. Thank you for coming. For everyone who's listening here, this is my real estate pod. It's usually done around real estate topics, but more recently we've been trying to do small businesses, small business owners, maybe to help out. Learn from other people who've done it. If you've been thinking about starting your own business or quitting your job, it's good to hear from people who have done it before and know about their journey. So let's talk about Fire Tonics. Hany, tell us a little about yourself, who you are, where you came from, and how you got here, and then we'll talk about the Fire Tonic.
Okay. All right. Well, again, thanks for having me, Marcus. And my name is Hany, and my product line is Fire Tonics. And the Fire Tonics are basically, it's an apple cider vinegar that's infused with many different roots and spices, etc. It's a dietary supplement. It has amazing benefits for you, and it's also an explosion of flavor that you can use in a lot of different culinary applications. So where I came from and how I got to making such a product is my background. I went to college for engineering. I finished engineering school, and I worked in first the power industry, followed by the oil refinery industry, and after about 8-9 years of doing that, I loved engineering from the tinkering, problem-solving side, but I didn't love the kind of work I was doing when I was actually out there.
So when you say you were doing, what specific type of engineering were you doing for power stuff?
So, although my education was in chemical engineering, when I got into the power industry, I got into more of the mechanical side, followed by the control side. So we would have these steam turbines. I did a little on gas turbines, but primarily steam turbines. Basically, that's where our juice comes from. That's where this microphone is getting its power record us.
Getting the power to the people.
Power to the people. So we'd have these huge machines, scattered all over the world, and we'd go to these machines, and either we'd build new ones or we'd take old ones and we'd do standard maintenance on them. So your tool shed in your garage, multiply the size of all those tools by 1,000. You got this. It's kind of like you're in giant land working on this giant machine with giant tools, and it's actually quite fascinating. But after some years, I kind of yearned for something different in my life.
So so when you were working as an engineer, were you working for a company? Were you an independent consultant? How does that work?
I was working at first when I was in the power industry. I was working with General Electric. So I was with General Electric company for about 5 years, and after that I left and I joined this for a very short time. I was doing this alternative energy stint. It was biodiesel, and that company kind of never really took off. And from there, I segued into the oil refinery industry. There's a lot of overlap. When you're delivering fuel, it's the same kind of infrastructure, et cetera, et cetera. So I got into oil refinery industry, and I spent about 2 years in that.
Nice. And
I was living in Vancouver, Canada, which is a beautiful city.
When you said Vancouver, it kind of sounded like you still had some of that Vancouver accent there a little bit. My dad actually, I don't know exactly what they did, but they used to do something for oil refineries and biodiesel, and a lot of renting out the equipment and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah. Biodiesel is an interesting fuel, and I don't want to go off too on a tangent on that. But, I don't think it's the future, and I think the general consensus is more that they don't think it's the future as much anymore.
Because it was definitely a hot thing for a couple of years that people were kind of excited about.
It was very sexy.
Yeah. Sexy power. Power so sexy.
We'd go to these conventions in California and whatever, and they'd ask how many people are starting a biodiesel plant. You'd have a room with 200 people that all raise their hand. Well, you can't all do that.
Yeah, eventually get saturated, right?
Sure. And then there's the whole debate about food versus fuel too, because it is coming from food sources.
Because biodiesel, that's like the old grease or whatever people use in food products or something.
Well, so you can recycle grease, and you can make biodiesel out of it. But how much recycled grease is there? There's quite a bit, actually. But when you look at how much power we consume relative to that, you can't strictly recycle grease. So then what started happening was, these countries like Malaysia, etc., corporations would go in there and say, let's cut down this rainforest and have a palm tree plantation.
Yeah.
So where we have petroleum, which has its issues environmentally, this also has its issues environmentally.
Yeah.
So it wasn't necessarily, and again, I'm speaking somewhat from opinion here.
Yeah.
But the general consensus across the community is it's not the viable alternative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when you had a chemical engineering background, you worked in the power field, and then how did that translate into brewing concoctions in a vat that we probably need a mask at? I saw a picture of you, or maybe it was a video you guys took at your kitchen, and you guys had some serious masks on.
Absolutely. So horseradish, I don't know, have you ever cut open horseradish root?
I have not, but okay. I know my uncle, he used to eat I guess my uncle. He eats horseradish like every day. I actually have some. It's supposed to be good for you, and it's very, very pungent.
Yeah, both those things for sure. And when you open up a small jar of some grated horseradish, that aroma can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
So now imagine you're in a kitchen and you're making a batch of product which requires that you put 40 plus pounds of this root into a processor.
Is it dangerous to, if you're processing it, to have your eyes and mouth open or exposed to it?
Define danger.
or maybe painful. Maybe I think
painful. Absolutely.
Painful. Absolutely.
The first couple of times I did it, I didn't have a respirator, I didn't have goggles, and I couldn't breathe. I was coughing profusely. My eyes were just like Niagara Falls, tears just rolling down, and I have to do both of those. I have to wear a respirator and some tight fitting goggles now. And even with that, it still affects me, but at least I cut it down by about 90%. So it's a very difficult root to work with. I mean, onion and garlic are kind of strong too, but they don't hold a candle to horseradish.
Yeah, I know. It's like
when I left engineering, I was working at this gig at this oil refinery in Vancouver, and I kind of hit this point where I just realized, I got to do something different with my life.
Yeah.
And I was getting paid well. Like I said, I lived 4 blocks from the ocean. I mean, I had
sounds like a sweet deal.
What sounds like a really cush life, but I was looking for more fulfillment. I was looking for, can I wake up every day and do something that I have some passion for? And I left that job and I traveled. I was in India for 3 months. I was in the Middle East for 2 months. I studied to become a yoga teacher. I discovered Indian music. I started stoking my creative side that way. And then I came back to North America and I moved to New York City. And
so just like in the middle of India, nature country, into the busiest city in the world.
Yeah, it was interesting. I didn't know I was going to move here.
Yeah.
I was living on the West Coast. My immediate family was all on the East Coast, and I said, those are the people that are most important to me in the world. Let me get a little closer to them. As you see your parents age.
Yeah, of course.
It's like, okay, how many years do I have you for? So,
you always end up. I feel like you always end up. I mean, when I moved away to Colorado for a little bit. I've done extended travel, but you always end up moving back to where your family is, because it pulls you in. Love it or hate it, it does.
Well, let's just say I'm grateful that I have a family that I feel that way about.
Yeah, not everybody does.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I came back and considered a couple options. I considered being upstate for a hot minute. Considered going to Montreal. I have the luxury of a Canadian passport as well as a U.S. one.
Just in case.
Just in case.
During these times.
No comment.
Yeah.
But I decided to move here. Something told me, you're going to have more opportunity here, and also all my family's stateside.
Yeah.
So I moved here, and I continued on with the yoga and the Indian music for years, and then it served its purpose. And after a few years, I just again kind of felt like I was in a point where, okay, now this is really stoking my creative side, but that engineer in me, the tinkerer, the creative, the problem solver, the guy that likes to build stuff, he wasn't doing anything. So I needed to give him something to do. So I was going back and forth to India 3 months a year, and it was a very start-stop. What started as a creative passion, studying this, beautiful beautiful art form turned into something which was kind of throwing me off kilter. Because, I'd get in a Brooklyn groove, I'd get up, I'd go there, I'd get into a new groove, and then I'd come back here. And, to really do that, you have to make something your all. And I tell you, Marcus, I love a lot of things, and unapologetically, there's a lot of things to love in this world, and I can't just devote myself to one.
Yeah, of course. Where were you, where were you going? Also, going to India, it's like a 20-hour flight, and you're there, you're on the other different time zone, it's a different country, everything goes like in India speed.
Yeah.
What areas of India do you go to?
I've traveled quite extensively. I've lived in Calcutta, I've lived in Bombay, I've lived on the outskirts of Bombay. I've been to the north, I've been to the south. I've traveled a good span of the country. You could spend a lifetime traveling that country.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if you know, but I've been probably, I think it was like 3 or 4 times for a couple months.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking about going back in February for the first time in a few years.
Okay.
Just because it's definitely one of my favorite countries I think I've been in, but it's definitely something else.
And where do you usually go?
I would go to Goa because it's like a party.
Yeah,
like,
I've been there.
Scene, yeah. And there's a lot of like a long stay travelers there, so you can it's cheap, and also for my business, my small business, we're very seasonal. We're not very seasonal. You can always work, but there's definitely a seasonality to it. So if you are to take off certain times, it's a bit advantageous to do it at certain times. But I did the basic tourist stuff. Did like Jaipur, do the Red Castle or Purple City, Red City. One of those.
Yeah, Rajasthan has got the Red City, the Pink City, the Blue City.
Yeah, I didn't go to. I don't know if I went to. Maybe I just went. I went to Jaipur, Delhi, Mumbai.
You went to the Tiger Fort.
Tiger Fort. Yeah. Tiger Fort.
I have some stories about that place.
and then like Rishikesh, which I really liked, which was cool. And I tried to do a yoga program there. I didn't go every day. It was difficult though.
That was my landing point in India. Actually, Rishikesh. I lived there for 6 weeks before I took off and started exploring the country.
Oh, it's awesome. It's because if anyone who doesn't know this place, it's pretty much a walking city.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's like 1 or 2 cabs there, and everybody pretty much walks.
Yeah.
And it's all a bunch of ashrams and stuff. And there's no meat or alcohol there, right?
There's no meat or alcohol. It's also the closest, let me rephrase that, it's close enough to the source of the Ganges River where you can actually swim in the river. By the time you get about a couple 100 million people into India downriver, you can't swim in that river anymore. It's pretty filthy. But up there, it's you could see the bottom of the river, and we would bathe in that river.
I always remember there. I didn't go in it, but I would just like put my hand in it. But they also, I remember they did like these ceremonies each night, or when was it? I don't know if it was a special time, but also it's fast. Like they also were saying like don't go too far in because you will get swept in, and it's a hard flowing river. It's different than other rivers I've ever seen.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Maybe like the Colorado, not even the Rockies is that like that. Definitely not.
Yeah.
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 And so then when you were doing that, were you like doing just like learning and getting certified and then coming back to New York or the States to teach classes as an instructor?
Yeah, I came back, and my first few years in New York, I taught a fair amount of yoga, while also I took on this gig doing tutoring in different topics, test preparation, everything from like GRE, GMAT, SAT, ACT, math, English. So between the yoga teaching and this academic tutoring, I made my way in New York City.
So when you're a chemical engineer, are you a doctorate, or are you a master, or just an undergrad, or
just a bachelor's?
Okay.
It's one of the few degrees left that you can actually get a 4-year degree and have
an actual trade that people can actually do.
Won't hang up the phone on you when you call them for a job interview.
Well, I'm sure that probably. I mean, that I have a liberal arts degree. I definitely feel people there needs to be more specific, skills taught. When people are spending, you spend all this money on education, and you come out with a liberal arts degree, great, you learn a lot of things, you meet people, teaches you how to learn, but, it's good to know specific trades,
Sure. And also, there's a shortage of engineers in the world, there's, there's enough, but, supply and demand is such that, everybody wants to go to school for film or all these different liberal arts things, and,
it's great and all, but
Right.
You need bridges, and you need bridges.
How many people are actually making films? Where engineers, there's a lot of engineering work. I mean, the world infrastructure needs a lot of attention. You see how much we're changing these days. Going to electric vehicles and all these things. All that requires tremendous effort. So I mean, this. I see, the cost of education and life in this country now. It's like, the kids are going to engineering school.
Good call.
If they have a passion for it, it's a good place to be.
And then, what's, let's move on to this, the actual fire cider here. What was the timeline then? So, basically, if long story short, we have a mutual friend and family member of you, that we met each other through, and then I remember I guess it was, what was it, last year or 2 years ago? I saw your first fire cider where I think we went out to get like ramen or something, and we were eating ramen with a bunch of people, and you came in with a bag with like unmarked bottles in the middle of the ramen shop, and they thought we were like doing some sort of illicit activity or something.
Right. They're like, sorry, you can't pour those shots here. Yeah.
I was like, this is. That was my first experience. When you first told me about it, I learned about it, and also I remember just in general, cider. I love liquor, like beer cider. I had like a phase where I loved it, and then I read up a little bit on, there's some other fire cider tonics, and then you mentioned you were doing this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was about 14 months ago, I believe. It was let's call it in the year ago range.
Yeah,
it was last fall.
Yeah,
I didn't start much before that.
Yeah, I think it was in October or something.
Yeah. Anyway. And a lot has happened since then. So basically, last year I kind of had this space open up in my schedule, and I kind of felt like, okay, well, what am I going to do with this? And I just made a batch. A friend of mine had given me a similar recipe a few years ago. I made a batch, a gallon, did a shot every day, felt great, and I enjoyed it. So last fall, I just kind of on a whim hey, you know what, I'm going to make that stuff again. And I made another gallon, started drinking it, enjoyed the benefits. This time, shared it with more people. And people loved it, really enjoyed it and asked for more. And so I went from a 1 gallon jar to using 2 gallon jars, to using a 5 gallon bucket. I'm still in my apartment the phase I'm talking about is still in my apartment. And then it just kind of dawned on me, I was kind of at a point where this feels good. This feels good. I'm making something that people enjoy. It's good for them. And look at this. I get to be creative, which I love, and I'm also get to be an engineer. This is a lot of process.
The whole thing in there.
Right. So all of these sides of me, when I was an engineer, I was working on machines and building things, but I didn't feel like there was that color in my life that I love. When I was doing my Indian music, etc., I had all this color in my life, but I wasn't building things. So this kind of brought both of those things together. I get to tinker with recipes, I get to do something that's good for people, and I get to build a process, and also many other things I wasn't expecting since then as well. So it just kind of took on a life of its own, and
kind of like almost like a hobby side project became, you saw the potential in it and the satisfaction of holding something that you made from start to finish. And
Exactly. So it became clear to me. I remember around the holidays last year, I brought some and shared it with family and friends. And
my friend who bought it really liked it. He bought a couple. I think he bought a couple bottles, and I remember I asked him like a couple weeks later, maybe like 2 weeks later, and they were all gone. I was like, that was pretty fast too. It's like, because sometimes it's a little harsh for some people, a little acidic. Because sometimes people with your stomach, if you don't eat it on it, are you supposed to eat before you? Or?
Well, I mean, just kind of like you said, some people, everybody has a different digestive constitution.
Yeah.
I tend to have a very strong stomach. I can take a shot in the morning and it's not going to faze me.
Yeah.
But even then, sometimes if my system is a little off, it can be a little strong.
Yeah.
So the one option is to take it on an empty stomach. The other option is to have, a few bites of a meal, get something in your belly, and then take some.
Yeah.
And you can take it straight, or you can mix it. If you take it with juice or something, then it comes into a little bit more in diluted form.
And then so what specifically, I know the base of the product is apple cider vinegar, and that has probiotics, right? Or it's got the mother. It's
yeah.
Explain exactly what cider is, because I know, isn't it alive or something? It's got like a mother or something.
Yeah. So basically, let's make sure we all understand the process, how apple cider vinegar becomes what it is.
Okay.
Is you start out with your apple cider, and it ferments. It actually becomes alcoholic through a yeast fermentation, and then there's a bacterial process that follows that, and then turns the ethanol, the alcohol, into acetic acid, which is vinegar. So as it goes through that process, the yeast population propagates, the bacteria population propagates, and that's your mother.
And it's kind of like a milky, cloudy thing on the bottom.
It's a milky, cloudy thing. So if you look at some of these bottles, you'll see there's a murkiness to them. This one has a special amount of murk in it. So a lot of products.
It's good when it's got that little.
Exactly.
I see
exactly.
This.
So that is. So let's talk about when you in your system. You have bacteria in your system. There's good bacteria and your bad bacteria. So probiotics, that's getting those good bacteria in your system.
And that stuff like kombucha, kimchi, and then yogurt and stuff.
Yeah.
Some cold.
Yeah. Absolutely. So this is a raw, unpasteurized product.
Mm-hmm.
It's a dietary supplement which allows us to keep it raw and unpasteurized. That's one of the main benefits of the raw apple cider vinegar. It also has this peculiar effect of alkalizing the body. So even though...
So what is that? What does alkalizing the body mean?
So you have something called pH, which is the acidity level in your body. And when your
body...
Like
in a fish tank.
In a fish tank.
I had a fish tank, and I remember I remember that now.
So when your body becomes slightly acidic, you become an ideal host for pathogens. Okay? They want to set up camp in a little bit of an acidic body.
Yeah, that sounds counterintuitive, but
when you're slightly alkaline or basic, that's the other side of neutral, then your body becomes a lot more inhospitable to the pathogens. So most diets, so this cup of coffee we're drinking, that's acidifying the heck out of us.
Okay.
Meat, smoking, alcohol, white flour, all those things that, especially Americans, consume a lot of are very acidifying. Yeah. Things like raw apple cider vinegar, lemons, limes, lots of green vegetables, those are going to alkalize us. So, and something like green vegetables, let's talk about that. I love to cook, but even me, I'm on the go a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I'm not going to cook every day.
Yeah.
I love it when I do, but I don't.
Yeah.
So
that's stuff to do.
Exactly. So to have something where I can just pour a shot of that in a shot glass, and it's going to give me, and there's other ingredients we can talk about, but it's going to give me all that goodness in one shot. That's convenience.
Yeah.
Yeah. And occasionally someone says, "Well, why don't I just make this myself?" And go for it.
You can if you want. You don't want to burn your eyes out with ginger root.
Make sure you wear some goggles.
Horseradish juice. Well, also just say I'm 32 now. I'm gonna be 33. You tend to, I feel like up until you're 27, you kind of forget that. That's when you start feeling it, and you're like, okay, I should actually take care of my body a little bit. And
you've overcome the myth of immortality at this point?
Yes, it's over. I mean, I don't think about my death daily, but I definitely don't think about being young all the time. So, and also just in terms of my parents were always pretty healthy. They were active, but my mom, she worked, she didn't, she cooked, but it wasn't everyday type of things. Sometimes also that generation, I feel like there was less information about taking care of your body, and so one thing I kind of read up now is how probiotics or keeping a good healthy gut is good for your mind, and it affects other things. Mm-hmm. And does this also affect your gut biome, or is this more just an alkalinic type thing.
No, the gut biome, that's what we were talking about, the mother, the yeast and the bacteria, that is the microflora in your gut that is going to be beneficial for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, the same reason why you eat live yogurts or drink kombucha.
Yeah, to add to it or keep it balanced or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so much of the food that we eat today is so processed.
Yeah.
You know, that they're not adding that stuff to us. So we have these guts that just don't have anything in them, you know, and then we have all these digestive issues.
And did you know, if you're someone who might have not been eating well and maybe becoming more alkaline, or you have more healthy gut biome, is there like a feeling that you can identify, or is it just kind of like a slow, gradual thing? You're like, oh, I feel a lot better, I sleep better, or is there like a noticeable type thing? I mean, obviously, when you eat healthy and you exercise, your life overall feels great, you know, or is it, you know?
Yeah. Okay. So what am I going to actually have tangible in my life that I can point my finger on and say, hey, this
like
is
your
making a
skin or
difference?
something?
Yeah. You know, everybody is different, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we'll have different constitutions, we have different imbalances. So what we do is going to affect us differently, and it's not a one size fits all kind of thing, right? So, I mean, some people, a raw diet is really good for them. Other people, a raw diet is very detrimental. You know, some people can eat meat, some people don't like meat. So it's the same thing here. And the benefits that you're going to feel is going to be different from one person to the next. So if you're asking me personally, the one thing that was most clear to me, and sorry to be a little bit blunt here, I'm just going to say it, is I could never do my bathroom regularly. You know, and this has been phenomenal. Like my whole life.
Sign me up.
Yeah, okay. And so many people that I would, if I were to say what is the most popular feedback, it's that people call me or write me and say, "Wow, I'm going to the bathroom. It's amazing."
Finally, after 20 years, I'm eating macaroni and cheese every day.
Yeah. And the good thing
is, it's important. I mean, everybody does it. Everybody does it every day.
Yeah, I mean, colon health. You know, I mean, colon cancer. A lot of what it is it's like backed up. It's not getting rid of that. You got to clear that out.
And also, just I know personally, I know people and family members. The Crohn's disease is something that's come out. And you know, I feel like either didn't know what it wasn't reported, but it's definitely more in the conversation. And you know, people know people who know people who have it, and it's not a good thing. Like it comes and goes. That's like a gut. And some people I read, they're talking about not having a healthy diet or just no nutrients in general, or to do with gut flora and things like that. So let's kind of like talk about the business side here. You do everything yourself. You started out with a bottle. You started out with a bigger bottle. You gave it to friends. You liked it. You decided to do it, and now we're sitting here with in these lovely bottles here. What's the processing like? Do you have a kitchen? Do you do batch cooking all the time, or how does it work? Because I saw, just to follow up, if you want to look at it on Instagram, they have a page on Instagram. You can kind of see you had a couple of people helping you out there, and you store it. And
yeah. Okay. First thing I want to do is just correct one word that you use, which is cooking. None of these products are cooked. They're totally raw and unpasteurized. The only place we ever use heat is when we get raw honey, but when you get crystallized honey, it's very difficult to dissolve it in a liquid, so we have to heat it up ever so gently.
Yeah.
So we heat it up to, basically what is this, a hot summer day. So we can still call it raw.
It's a good
but
phrase.
Now,
a hot summer day.
A hot summer day, yes. We can still call it raw, but at least we can get it to, dissolve in the mixture. So it's no cooking. Now, as I told you before, last fall I was making these small batches in my apartment experimentally, and for one, that's not really legit. If you want to be an up and up business, you have to make it in a legit facility. And also for volume purposes. Scalability.
Right?
So then I started looking for options. Let me see if I can lease a place and start making this. And as you know, being a realtor here in New York City,
it's hard to
find. It's a little different. I mean, there's some places upstate where you can get a whole evacuated warehouse for peanuts, and but not so in Brooklyn. or any of the boroughs for that matter. So I'm looking for all these places, and and in addition to what you pay for rent, I also have to put my own infrastructure in there.
Oh, like the gallons, the materials,
the food processor alone that I use is almost a $20,000 piece of equipment, and I need it.
Just grind. It just makes it like just pulverizes it basically.
Pulverizes it. Yeah. And if you use one of those consumer level processors, you're going to spend all week processing those roots. So I'm sitting here. I'm like, I have to outgrow my apartment, but I'm really daunted by taking this much of a plunge. Where Marcus, like I said, I've never done a business like this before. I come from an engineering background. I was doing teaching. And
it's not as easy as it looks wearing all the hats, right?
Exactly. So a food producer or a supplement producer, how do I even do that, right? So I'm looking at this, and I'm feeling a little daunted. But as I'm doing this search, I come across these commercial kitchens that they share space. So I found this kitchen. Nice. They're an incubator kitchen. They have over 100 companies that are producing different products there.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's really, because I think it's, there's, you always talk, one thing is you talk about, we're a big service economy. New York's all tech and advertising, but, you need people making stuff and, it's handcrafted goods and things like that. It's important to be making physical things,
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
So tell us, so you're in this incubator with a bunch of other companies, and they just kind of, they have a communal kitchen or something?
Yeah, it's a communal kitchen. Can I say their name?
Whatever you want.
Pilot Light. Just I'm gonna say them. I'm gonna plug them because they're awesome.
Yeah, of course. Someone wants to check them out.
Yeah. So anyway, so I'm one of over 100 companies right now that we have. You get a certain number of hours, you get a certain number of storage space, which is a little modest, and this I can't be in this place.
The clock is ticking when you're there, I'm sure.
There's a certain point where because you have cost of goods sold, and you have to look at the way to bring that down and actually become a viable player in the industry is you have to grow your volume to it's
make it worth it.
It's tight, and it's competitive.
Yeah.
But as a startup, it's been invaluable. And when I started there, I just thought I was getting space to make my product.
Yeah.
But I've gotten so much more than that. When you're in a community of over 100 small companies, all of a sudden you get to share a lot of knowledge, a lot of resources.
It's the best capital, social capital to experience, right?
Exactly. We have an in-house distributor.
Cool.
That is helping me get my product out to more retail locations. We have a mentorship program.
Cool.
Where we have people that have been successful in the food and supplement industry that are there to help us out. And I've gotten very, very good help in that respect. So it's if I didn't have that, gosh, I don't know, I'd probably be okay, maybe, but it's certainly been helpful.
It also that gives you confidence when you have somebody who's been down that path, and this is also sometimes when we do this podcast too. Is like one big thing is I was always looking on Facebook. People have questions that just it's nothing to you, and then you help them out with their whatever their new business thing is. And like with the new, I feel like the new economy, a lot of people are doing either supplementing their income from a job with a side project. They want to do their passion projects, like something like this.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's where I've been since the beginning of March, and it's been a good upward trajectory. I've made a lot of mistakes.
That's funny. Listen, I was going to ask you, like, that was actually my next question. What if you in hindsight, everybody hindsight's 20/20, but like, what were the biggest hurdles you had or the biggest lessons you had with like launching this thing in the last year? Because you basically did this all in the last 8 months, 9-10 months or something, and it's we'll put pictures up and we'll put links, but like it's a sexy little bottle we got in front of us.
It is a sexy little bottle. Now you got to do more than just be sexy in this world, ideally.
Yeah.
So
but sexy goes pretty far.
It does go pretty far. Now let me give you an example. Like I wanted to make this even sexier, right?
Okay.
So you see this plastic cap. I had gotten these nice tin caps in gold color, and I ordered a bunch of them. I had to custom order them, and so I had the old gallon jars, and they had these lids on them that I was making some product. And one day I took off the lid of that gallon jar, and I saw this black oxide material on there. Long story short, what I figured out was that the acetic acid, is corroding the tin that's in these lids. So all of a sudden, I just ordered this huge number of custom-made lids, and I'm like, "Oops, I can't use these." And I was, guys, trying to make this a beautiful product. This is not a plastic bottle. It's a brown glass bottle. It's UV protected.
It's a tonic bottle.
Exactly. But we have to balance, form and function, right? So I had, so I pleaded with the bottle company, take this back, charge me a fee. I'm really, really sorry, and they did, and
nice
plastic caps it is. The other thing was I needed to make custom boxes to deliver to my retail customers, and I just said, okay, well, what can I comfortably carry? Well, let me do cases of 24. So I made cases of 24. All of a sudden, all the retailers were like, yeah, we want cases of 12.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? Am I going to change the paradigm of the industry? No. So
revolutionary 24.
Yes. Listen to me. You want 24.
You want to buy 24. You want it and you need it.
Right.
Take it now.
Well, when they're trying a new product and they want to try 2-3 flavors, they're not going to get 24. So then I had to order the new custom. So these are all rookie mistakes, and it's not stupidity. Could I have done more research? Yes, but you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah,
especially when you're doing something new. This is a sexy bottle, but also when people look at this product, they're not sure what this is. Is this a single serving bottle? So now I'm meeting with my designer again next week. Let's tweak this text a little bit. So when people look at this bottle, it's much more clear what you're supposed to do with it.
I mean, it says, obviously it says 1 tablespoon, but at the same time.
But the attention span of the average person is about that of a squirrel. They're not even going to get to the side panel. You want that in the front. 16 daily doses or whatever it is. So, so these are all things that I'm learning, and you learn by doing.
Yeah. How many products or how many different things do you have right now?
Okay, so these what you see here are the 4 flavors: Original, Reaper, Nectar, Harvest, and so. Going back to last fall when I said, okay, let me start making this on a larger scale.
Reaper.
Sure,
yes. That is spicy.
It's spicy, but it's not knock your socks off spicy. Yeah. What I was trying to do is trying to cast a wider net on this because we there's a lot of supplements out there that are good for you, but they're not enjoyable to drink.
Yeah.
And beyond that, not everybody has the same palate.
Yeah.
So for example, this original is unsweetened. I love it.
Yeah.
You've got to like that tart taste of vinegar to like the original, and some people do, but some people no. I don't drink vinegar, or I don't want to drink vinegar, or I don't want to feel like I'm drinking vinegar. So okay, we have flavor number 3 here, this nectar flavor, and I sweeten that with very generous amounts of raw wildflower honey and maple syrup. This is the one I can give to my mother, and she'll drink it. Because there's a little vinegar in the background there, but it's a lot rounder, it's a lot more. This Reaper flavor here, that's your spicy flavor.
For people who like the ghost peppers, right? Type people.
Yeah, exactly. And it'll clear out your sinuses a little extra too. So this is beyond digestion. There's an immunity factor here as well. The Harvest flavor is a bird of its own feather. This one, we took out the onion and the garlic because if there were 2 ingredients which were sticking points for some people, they were onion and garlic. Now, onion and garlic are immunity powerhouses.
Yeah.
What they do for you is incredible, but different strokes for different folks. So we wanted to offer something to those folks. And we took those things out and we added some molasses. A lot of people will take apple cider vinegar and molasses in the morning. That's their traditional regimen. So, okay, let's make something to honor that tradition. So
sorry, can you do that molasses and what in the morning?
Apple cider vinegar and molasses. Like I'll meet people at trade shows like, oh yeah, I do that. I take a spoon of molasses and I mix it up with my apple cider vinegar and I take a shot.
Because the original apple cider vinegar. What's that one? The big one, Bragg's.
Yeah.
And they list like 45 things that it does, doesn't it? There's like a whole list right there.
Oh yeah.
Because it's like a tradition, or there's like an old supposed to be like an old remedy, right? That it's been how long have people been doing this? Right, a long time, right?
A long time. A long time. So you can look this guy up online. His name is Dr. Jarvis, Jarvis. He was a medical doctor, and he decided he was going to move to Vermont and set up shop. And he almost went broke because he wasn't getting any patients.
Yeah.
It's like, well, why is nobody coming to see me? So he started to research the habits of Vermonters, and he noticed that they were making these concoctions based on apple cider vinegar, local roots, etc. And so he started studying it, and he found these amazing benefits that people were getting from using this product. If I'm not going to get the opportunity to be a practicing doctor, at least I'll write about the benefits of apple cider vinegar. So he started writing these articles on what he found. But yeah, I mean, this was used in folk tradition for many, many generations. Traditionally in the herbalism community, this general recipe is called fire cider.
Yeah.
Now we took that general recipe of fire cider, and we added some things that are not traditionally used, like for example whole turmeric, because turmeric is an amazing root. Amazing root. The properties it has for immunity and circulation, and
isn't
even
it for your kidney? Isn't it like specific for your kidney or your liver? I mean, for all those who love to imbibe. Isn't turmeric somewhere? I don't know. I've read it on the internet. It's got to be true. I thought.
Of course.
But isn't turmeric like something that people take if they want to like cleanse? It's either one of those things.
Yeah, it can help with cleansing, and it also in long-term research is found to be a cancer preventer, or at least it slows the growth of cancer cells. At least the turmeric and the horseradish, for that matter.
Yeah.
So
can you take too? Can you take too much of this stuff?
I sold a bottle of this Reaper. I was at a market a while back, and this one vendor next to me is like, I'm feeling under the weather. Maybe I'll buy a bottle from you. I sold him this bottle, and he came back to me about 45 minutes later, and he showed me the empty bottle.
Oh God!
And he drank the whole thing, and he's still standing. So
yeah, I mean, it doesn't have alcohol or anything.
It doesn't have alcohol, but everything in moderation. There's two things to be aware of. Number one, it is an acid, so if you're gonna drink it, it's a good thing to maybe follow it with a water chaser or something, so you're not, this acid is which wears off the enamel on our teeth, so you want to be careful of that, whether you're doing a shot or a bottle.
I can't believe you drank a bottle of that.
Yeah, drinking, if you drank a bottle in one sitting, like I said, it's not going to kill you, but you want to do everything in moderation. If you were to drink a bottle every day, one of the side effects that I've found in long-term studies is that it can start to leach the minerals from your bones. So that's not going to happen if you take a shot a day, but a bottle a day,
moderation.
It is kind of habit forming in a way. I mean, I wake up every morning and I can't wait to take my shot.
Yeah, and it's like a little ritual that that you can do. Mm-hmm. In this. Oh, and then you take a little shot glass. So also here, I'm looking. So on the side, can you make like? I always thought maybe would it be good like with like an alcoholic drink, like a hot toddy?
Absolutely.
That's what I was thinking would be good for.
Absolutely. So you can make any kind of, for example, margaritas. So spicy margaritas. I'll just give you the recipe right now.
Perfect.
4 shots of tequila, a shot of the Reaper tonic, and a little bit of lime.
Ooh.
Mix it with some ice and pour it, and it's a real hit. I serve that a lot of my holiday markets.
Nice.
People have made vodka gimlets out of it. I have a fellow. I got to call him. I actually don't drink anymore, so I don't know. People try it out for me and they report back to me. So there's another fellow. He's experimenting with gin right now. I got to touch base with him and see what he's come up with.
And then also sit on the side too. Can you put on food? Or do you mix it with food recipes or something? Or like a sauce or something?
Sure. So you can make, for example, a vinaigrette. It's great on greens. Especially, I personally, any of them, but I personally love this harvest flavor, to mix it with a little bit of oil, a little bit of crushed black pepper, and just pour it on salad greens, or even leave some cucumbers in there overnight. I've also used it in salsas, guacamoles. I know a fellow who likes to just drizzle it on his pasta. Or rice. Or what I don't really push is cooking with it, just because the raw is what makes it so amazing.
Yeah,
so
when you cook up all this stuff.
And you can. I mean, just be aware that if you do cook, then a lot of that goodness is going to go away.
Mm-hmm.
but you can put it on food that is cooked, as a sauce, as a garnish, with your garnish, I should say.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. So I'm gonna take these. Can we let's do a little to finish up here. We're wrapped. Do you have anything else you wanted to cover while we're talking here?
Off the top of my head, no. I think we've covered quite a bit.
I like that we talked about a little bit about your history, how you started your business, some of the medicinal benefits of it, and I would like to take a shot. If
Absolutely.
We can do that. Which ones? Let's do. What's your favorite one?
You want to go spicy? Well, my favorite one is the original. That's totally unsweetened. Do you like the vinegar?
Yeah, let's do this one. Let's do the original. I always like going with the originals.
Okay, here we go.
And everybody, listen, it's holiday season. You still got a couple weeks left. You got to buy this. It's gonna be. Don't get a flu. I mean, get a flu shot if you want, but let's do like a single because I'm drinking some coffee too.
There you go.
Oh, that smell. So I'm gonna. It's that is a pungent smell. As soon as you open the that even wakes you up just smelling it. This one's kind of more like a clear. It's like a clear yellow almost, or like an amber. Kind of looks.
That one's gonna be the lightest because all of these have at least wildflower, honey, and or maple syrup or molasses. So all those ingredients darken it. So this one's gonna be the lightest.
All right, let's do it.
All right, go for it.
Ooh, oh yeah. That's good. I like that. I like it. It's in the back sides of your tongue.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. That's good. Well, I was thinking. I kind of like psyched myself out. I thought that would be a little bit more, like in your face, but it's like it's definitely I mean it's cider, so I mean it's like vinegar and cider, so it's a little tart, but it's not like overwhelming. It's not crazy. I've had other types where I thought it was a little bit too much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean all those other ingredients, they add different layers of flavor and complexity. So that's your reaction. Now I've had people try this. I was doing
and some of them are dark too, right?
That one's dark. The harvest flavor is dark. So you gotta like that kind of hardcore molasses flavor. Some people love this one. Other people not so much. But it does have that strong molasses presence. I mean I've more often than not I get very positive feedbacks on this. But it's not. Some people aren't happy about it.
Everyone's got their own. I mean, listen. People are more to complain than to say something.
I had a woman,
especially online.
Yeah, exactly. And I had one woman at a yoga studio one time where I was doing a tasting. She got upset with me afterwards. She's like, "You should have told me this tasted like hamburger before I took a shot." So I was like, "I'm sorry."
Why? Because she was a vegetarian or something? She's like, "There's hamburger juice in here."
I don't know. I've had other cases where I'm in a food store doing a demo and there's a little kid sees a sample. He runs up, before I can even do anything, grabs a sample shot off the table, swigs it back. And he's just like, "Mommy!"
Oh God! He probably had the fire one too.
Sorry, miss. I tried to warn him. He was too fast for me.
He learned not to drink weird things off a table without his mommy there.
Yeah, so there we go. I taught him a lesson.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming out. I enjoyed doing this. I learned a lot about more about cider, and good to hear your story of starting your business. And I hope maybe some people will learn a little bit. Maybe if they're trying to start their own thing, then maybe they'll be a little bit inspired. So listen, where can they find you online? Where can they buy stuff? How do they find you?
So online, I'm at firetonics.com. We do shipping. Do very fast shipping, usually within 24 hours. If you live if you live anywhere, I have a website page. It's called Where to Find Us. If you go to firetonics.com and pull up that page, and I have it broken down by state. In New York, I have it broken down by
what store, like physical stores and stuff.
Physical stores.
Cool.
And so every time I get a store, at least for now, while it's a manageable size list, I'm adding those locations. We have a good number of Brooklyn locations now, a couple Manhattan locations, a few upstate locations. But really, if you're anywhere in the country, I'm not shipping internationally yet, but if you're anywhere in the U.S., I even shipped out to Hawaii.
Nice.
You can
Can't forget about them out there.
You can certainly buy online, and we'll ship it to you.
Awesome. Thanks for doing this. Let's get some fire cider. Check it out. give it to someone in their little stocking this season. So awesome! Hey, thanks so much. Awesome,
Marcus.
Excellent stuff. Cool.
All right.
Let's take a little picture here. What do we got here? That was fun. Thanks. Yeah, I was enjoying it. It was fun. Thanks for doing it.
Are we offline?
I just let it go and I cut
okay.
it out.
All right. Okay. Cool.
But I basically just try to do like an hour, you know?
Okay. Cool.
Let's see if we got something here. Can we do this? How does this work?
No, you got to flip it. Yeah. There we go.
There we go.
There we go. Can we hold one here?
Sure.
All right.
Good couple. Awesome. We did it.
Awesome.
Sweet. You want to, cool. I'm going to turn this off. Sweet. Let's take a little couple pictures.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, when I visited Doug in L.A. and he had a bunch of them in his kitchen. He was like, "This is hot," and they were. I remember I saw them. I saw them taking shots in the morning. So that was the first time I had the new batch here.
And I sent him. He was the first person to order from me off Etsy, and that's before I had the professional labels on there. So he got the one with little Scotch tape label. Didn't even have an ingredients panel on there. And but yeah, Doug's great, man. He got it, and he was my first Etsy review, man. Took a picture.
I know. I saw. Oh yeah. You told me.
Yeah, Doug.
Awesome. Let's see if this worked out here. Ooh.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like occasionally, I pulled back from the mic a little bit, so I hope that the variations weren't too extreme.
Listen, man. It's so these mics are like they're okay, but it's like also it's like you hear it. Oh, I hope that was in all the way. Yeah, that was in all the way. Listen, we're not professionals here. We're just doing it just for.
Yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed that.
Okay, cool. Let's see. I think